Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I wanted to record today after the video I made yesterday about the Republican congressional baseball shooting. I knew yesterday that after the shooting, the media was going to do everything they can to attack guns, right? After every attack, they blame the gun as if it picked itself up. You almost think that after a truck attack, you say, well, did the truck kill the people or did the man driving the truck kill the people? And after a knife attack, did the knife attack those people or did the person carrying the knife? But the media, because their agenda is anti-gun, always manages to blame the guns. So I was quick. I said, I got to get on the computer. I got to get home. I have to make a video regarding what happened with the congressional baseball shooting. And in the video, I pointed out that the man was a follower of the mainstream media. The mainstream media has done everything it can to promote violence against Donald Trump, against people who think like Trump, and really against Republicans in general. Not that I think they're great either. And I just knew the way the media was going to spin it. So I went to the computer and I made a video and I pointed out that the media had been promoting violence, that this man was a follower of the mainstream media, possibly radicalized by the media, and that in this case, guns actually save lives, because in most mass shootings, in Newtown, in San Bernardino, in the Pulse nightclub, there's never anyone there to fire back at the shooter. And what happens is everyone's just a sitting duck, and you look up and the death toll is 20, 30, 40, 50 people because there's just no one to defend themselves. But what happened at the Republican baseball shooting, the Congress, the elites, have their own security guards with guns. So when Hutchinson opened fire, the security guards instantly took their guns out and they fired back. And what do you hold? 5 people get shot. And if the security wasn't there, there would have been a whole bunch of dead congressmen. You better believe that, including Rand Paul, who is the champion of the liberty movement. And that would have been a big loss for this country. I can promise you that. So the guns save lives. But for you and me, in many states, we're not allowed to carry guns. So if we were put in a similar situation, we would be dead. So I made that video to point out what happened with the baseball shooting, how guns actually save lives, how if during other mass shootings people were allowed to carry guns, more people would be alive today. In doing that, I also pointed out that the shooter was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I had gotten a comment in the comment sections about how I generalized all Bernie Sanders supporters as radicals. And I really thought about that overnight, and it made me think. Everything I do with my Seth Rich videos, whatever it might be, is about documentation and proof and showing how the mainstream media attempts to manipulate information and they leave certain information out. And, I pointed out in the video that the mainstream media didn't report on the Project Veritas video. If you haven't seen it, during the 2016 presidential election, there was an undercover video done by Project Veritas, which basically showed that the DNC had hired mentally ill people to start fights, essentially start fights outside of Trump rallies. And then the media would go and they would blame Trump supporters for the violence. And it got me to thinking, the establishment did this against Trump at Trump rallies. They probably did the same thing to Bernie Sanders and his supporters. And even if the shooter was a Bernie Sanders supporter, it's not a healthy practice to lump people in to categories like that. I don't want to, I don't think you're a bad person if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. And I don't think you're a bad person if you're a Donald Trump supporter. I actually think there's a lot of common ground, and that goes for even people that buy into the mainstream rhetoric. It's the political elite that attempt to divide us. So I think it was Steph Green that had wrote the comment. You know what? I apologize. I shouldn't group all people together like that. All Bernie people aren't bad. All Trump people aren't bad. Even all Hillary people aren't bad. They just buy into what the mainstream media says, and it's a divide and conquer strategy. But if we can stick together, if we could see past the divide and conquer strategy, not call names, not group each other, not use ad hominem attacks, then we could learn from one another and we could find common ground and we could make America a better place, which is the reason I started doing this in the first place. I love this country. I love the Constitution. I love freedom. And I think a lot of the people who see the country or want the country to go in a different direction, they just have a little bit different understanding of what solutions will bring what results. So what I want to do is keep bringing you news. I know some of my reports are rather lengthy, but what I like to do is not tell you what's happening, but I like to show you the evidence of how I've drawn the conclusions about what is happening. And I'd also like to do a lot more on not what to think, but how to think. As I said in this video, don't attack someone because they're a Bernie Sanders supporter. Don't attack someone because they're a Donald Trump supporter. They have their reasons. And it's not because they're a hateful person or hate America. I mean, it could be, but let's not make that the assumption from the start. And if we do that, we could come a long way as a country. We could really come together as people. So I just wanted to get that out. I've had a busy day. I'm gonna get back to the office now. I need to get my articles ready tomorrow for FFRnews, and I'll continue to report the news as I see it. I report positive news on Donald Trump. I report negative news on Donald Trump. I'm the first to let you know when I think he does things well, and I'll be the first to let you know when I think he maybe falls victim to the military-industrial complex, like I've called him out on the arms deal with Saudi Arabia. Again, back to Rand Paul, who has been actively fighting against the arms deal with Saudi Arabia. For those of you not aware, I think it's $110 billion. We signed an arms deal with Saudi Arabia. We arm them. WikiLeaks documents has shown that we know Saudi Arabia actively provides weapons to ISIS, the war in Yemen. So, I don't know. The world's a mess. The military-industrial complex is a mess. I'm going to keep calling it out. But the point of this message was, let's stick together. Let's not call names. Let's not make assumptions about each other. We can be better people. We can make the world better, but we can't fall victim to the same games that the mainstream media tries to get us to play. All right? I'll catch you guys later. Tom Anderson, FFR News. Subscribe.